Hey, it's me again. Okay, so in continuing to go through this document, I found another set of issues. When I discovered that there was actually some cyan going on, maybe some yellow and black, in this particular image, I realized that you had changed all of the TIFFs to magenta in Photoshop and imported them. And there is a better way to do that, and it's simply to leave them as grayscale images. And the reason for that is if we were to decide at the last minute, right now currently we're printing on blue stock with magenta, what if we were to decide at the last second we want to do magenta stock or hot pink stock with cyan? We would have to go through all of these, switch over to Illustrator or Photoshop, for instance, and we would have to change them all at once, or sorry, one by one. If we import these as grayscale images, such as, I believe this, right, we could simply select them all, change them to cyan, and we'd be done just that quickly. Right now it's a much more tedious process. So what we want to do in the future is change these to grayscale and colorize them, assign a color channel to them in InDesign. So it's the same old trick. We're going to go through these. We're going to edit in Photoshop. Here it is. In this case, I'm going to click grayscale. I'm not going to merge them. I'm not going to rasterize them. And there we are. We'll say you've got quite a few layers and things not showing. Some of those might be good to turn off. That's just kind of general file cleanliness, so that when somebody like me who's not familiar with everything that's going on has to encounter them, it makes some semblance of sense. So we're going to click Save. Go back to InDesign. Here it is. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to assign cyan to it. One thing I forgot to mention, you can see that it went a little more dull. We'll go, back to Photoshop. I'm going to step backwards and undo. This was actually an RGB. And at the very minimum, it needs to be in CMYK if you're going to be importing things. Remember that we are printing, and that no matter how hard we try, RGB is not going to print the same. So we want control over that. So at a bare minimum, this would need to be checked. I'll say don't merge, don't rasterize. Click OK. You can see it goes a lot more dull. So I'm going to click grayscale, don't rasterize. I'm going to save it, go back. Here it is. If I double click that, it's going to update it. Looks like that type snuck in there. Get rid of that. Here it is. This is much more close to how it would print. Regardless of how it looked on the screen and how vibrant it looked on the screen, it was probably going to print like this anyway, so it's much better to know in advance if you need to change anything or up any sort of levels or anything in Photoshop to compensate for that. So that is the preferred way to handle actual raster-based images in InDesign now. Just to illustrate the point, if we need to make this cyan, we make it cyan. If we need to make it green, we can make it green. It becomes a much easier, quick process to change things over on the fly.